Welcome to the College Essay Advisors podcast. Before we introduce ourselves, here's a little preview of what's to come.
One of the biggest pratfalls I've noticed in helping students is when they write about their reasons for wanting to transfer, sometimes they start disparaging the current school too much. And I
Mhm.
want to emphasize that this objective essay is not about a litany of reasons why you are unhappy at your current institution.
Welcome to the College Essay Advisors podcast, an ongoing exploration of how to write admissions essays that get you noticed and accepted. Hi, my name is Stacey Brooke, and I'm the founder and chief advisor at College Essay Advisors.
Hi, my name is Becca Myers, and I am the Director of Advising at College Essay Advisors.
And today we're going to talk to you about how to write a stellar transfer student objective statement. So, Becca, I know you have worked on so many of these recently, and I know you have a lot to say about this subject. So, I'm going to let you lead the way on this,
Oh, wow. No pressure. Okay.
or don't.
The first thing is I my heart always goes out to students transferring because they've already done this process once, and then
Mhm.
when they are transferring, they'll see that sometimes the prompts remain the same from the
Mhm.
original application. So this year I was helping a student with transfer applications to Brown and Northwestern, and there is a transfer objective statement, which is asking
Mhm.
you why you want to transfer. But in addition, there are supplemental essays that will often include essays from the original application. So that's not
Mhm.
necessarily a thing we have to tackle today, but I'll just say it is quite a process to transfer.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely. Since you brought up the supplemental essay prompts and the fact that those will in all likelihood need to be submitted in addition to a transfer student objective statement, let's also just map out for people. Sometimes you will also need to submit a common app personal statement. Sometimes you won't. But what we're talking about here is essentially a long why essay, which all transfer students are going to have to submit. Why do you want to transfer? What has your experience been like at the school you're at so far? And what are your goals for the future? Essentially.
yes. Yes, yes. And typically anywhere between I think the shortest one I've seen is like 400 words. I think
Mhm.
between like 400 and then no word limit is what is
Mhm.
typical.
Mhm.
Um the biggest well, let me just start with the biggest pratfall is that students transferring don't want to be at their current institution, right? For many reasons. Sometimes it's just a feeling if this doesn't quite gel with me. Sometimes it's an intense dislike. Sometimes it's that they really wanted a different school and now they're going to like
Mm.
shoot their shot, which is great. Um
Sometimes it's that in the process of taking classes and learning about yourself in that first year, you have new goals or objectives that can't be accomplished at the school that you're at. Maybe the programs are not supportive of, uh your final professional goals, and you know of a place that is.
Perfect example. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I have a student I just worked with who got a recent autism diagnosis and she is looking to transfer to a school that has a minor in ASD so
Mm,
she can apply what was so exciting about learning and researching her diagnosis and psychology classes she's taken and do that minor so she can work with particularly children on the spectrum, which I think is amazing. So
amazing.
that's such
Yeah.
a great example. Yeah. Um, one of the biggest pratfalls I've noticed in helping students is when they write about their reasons for wanting to transfer, sometimes they start disparaging the current school too much. And I
Mhm.
want to emphasize that this objective essay is not about a litany of reasons why you are unhappy at your current institution. My biggest suggestion is to give a sentence or two about why it's not a good fit. And then before you talk about the strengths of the program you're looking to transfer to, talk about a couple of the things that you found beneficial at your current institution. Were there
Mhm.
professors that supported you? Was there a research project you love that you hope to continue in a different way at the new institution? Because I don't think what anyone wants to read is an essay about dislike and unhappiness, because I think that would make an admissions officer feel like, what if you're going to bring that energy to this school?
Completely.
Right? It's
Completely.
almost like trash talking your boss when you transfer jobs. Like, you don't wanna
Yes.
fall into that.
Yes. And And what you're saying about fit is exactly the point I was gonna make. Any negative experience that you had at your current school or initial school can be reframed positively as a fit issue, and that's really what it is. It's
Yeah.
you want something, the school that you are attending does not have that, cannot provide that, or there's just something about the two pieces that are not clicking together. I love the suggestion that you're giving about sandwiching in something that you thought was beneficial about your current experience, and there has to be some of that because ultimately you're taking away a learning that maybe this isn't the place for you. So there is something that this experience has provided you, if only perspective or the narrowing of the funnel pointing you in the direction of where you want to go. So I think optimism is a huge part of this
Mhm.
essay, and that positivity and the perspective that you bring to this that proves to admissions that you can make the most even of a non-ideal situation. I think that's crucial for this essay.
Yes, absolutely. So another student I was working with thought she wanted to go far away from home and then got to her current institution as a first year and realized that the pull of family and friends and the familiarity of the West Coast weather, she missed it a ton. And so I don't think we can discount as well for certain students that location does matter and school size. So in
Mhm.
addition, this student ended up at a school of like 1,800 students and really
Mm,
belonged at a public university of like 20,000 and realized
right.
that very early on, majoring, I believe, in physics, but there were only like 4 physics majors at the school. It was definitely
Mm,
more of a liberal arts focused school, which, they thought they wanted, but then realized that they were craving that STEM. And so there's a whole list of reasons why this larger, bigger institution in the Pacific Northwest is better for them. But
mhm,
again, without trash talking the current institution, but just saying, as Stacy is mentioning, like it's all about fit. It's about recognizing I thought I wanted this one thing. I got here, I've grown. Here are the ways I've learned about myself. Here are the classes I've taken. You can mention a class that might have been awesome there and say, and at this institution, the one I'm looking to transfer to, I want to build on that by studying with blah blah blah, taking more classes in physics. Like there's all kinds of ways to pivot from what
mhm.
might have not been a fit into something that's more of a fit.
Absolutely. And I think if you start there with, "This is why I wanna leave," then you must end at, "This is why I wanna go where I wanna go," and that's the objective part of the objective statement, right? So, you're gonna wanna super clearly define what your goals are, how you believe they can be achieved at the institution you're applying to. Um, like undergraduate Y essays, you want to do research, you want to prove
Mhm.
to an institution that you actually understand their offerings, you're not just picking their name out of a hat. Um, you're you're pointed in what you're hoping to achieve and accomplish, and you know that the institution you're applying to has those resources, and you prove it with
Mhm.
specifics.
I think it helps if you've also physically been to that campus. So the both of the students I worked with in the last month, they had set foot on the transfer campus
Mhm,
since their current enrollment and they felt it click when they were there. So and one
mhm,
student in particular had friends at the other institution, went and spent a week, sat in on a
mhm,
class, was like, "Oh my god, this is it for me." So
mhm.
if you can compare and contrast the feelings of physically
Yeah,
being there, that I would also put that in the statement.
completely. Anytime you visit, you should absolutely mention it, and if that's not possible for you, I mean, maybe get in touch with admissions and see, is there a virtual class you can sit in on? These are decisions not to be taken lightly. This is a massive life change. It's an uprooting, it's a new start. So anything you can do to confirm even for yourself that this is a change worth making is going to be beneficial both to you and to the essay.
Mhm. For sure. And then if there's room in the essay to talk about, again, like what you'll contribute, you can touch on the diversity aspect too. Like, what are you going to bring to the student body that you think is beneficial? Whether that's just based on your life experiences or what you've learned from your current institution, because it's not just that you want to go there, it's that you want them to want you to go there.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
it's
And
nice to kind of mix that in.
related to that, I think, and this is also true. I almost think of the transfer essay as a bit more akin to a statement of purpose for law school, med school,
Hmm.
grad school, because you have a little bit better of an idea of what you want to do with your time based on experiences you've had. So if there are any personal anecdotes, the more you can personalize this and root this in your experience, the more convincing it's going to be. And the more you're going to stand out, the more the essay is going to be memorable because it's not just going to be um, a list of reasons that in all likelihood, generally speaking, overlap with other transfer students. The more specific you can be about your reasoning and also the thought process that has brought you to this point of decision making, the better.
Yeah. And like any like common app statement for the original application, it needs a creative framework. So like Stacy saying, we're not going to open with I would like to transfer because, right? We want to open with an image or something that is like a narrative moment. Like, for example, I had a student who wanted to transfer to a school she had spent time with growing up because her dad lived in the town and she remembered picnicking on the lawn with him. And so, opening with that moment of like, spreading the blanket down and passing each other sandwiches, and I don't know, like there's a way that you can get the reader keyed in on something that feels more like storytelling before
Mhm.
you get into the why aspect. Just like any great
Mhm.
why essay, common up essay, it's got to have
Just
that
about to say that.
creative hook.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Anything you can do to differentiate this piece of writing from the hundreds, thousands of other pieces of writing admissions is going to look at, which in all likelihood are going to start in a very direct way, maybe sometimes
Mm.
even repeating the question in the answer. How can you bring something fresh to someone's eyes when they've been reading 1 million of these things in a row?
And I would argue that transfer essays for the bulk of students are not fresh, because if you think about it, those students looking to transfer are bogged down in their own coursework right now in college, right? And probably don't have the benefit of like a student, like a high school counselor to help read things or an advisor. So if you're not, for example, working with us, if you're just kind of on your own, a lot of other people submitting are going to be just, okay, here's why I want to transfer. There's not that time and energy necessarily spent on crafting the way it might have been as a high school senior when everyone is like telling you how to do it, right? I don't think you have those voices when you're in college looking to transfer. I'm not really sure who's guiding you. So that's like a service that we definitely offer. So students and
Mhm.
parents, if you're unsure how to navigate this, like this is I think where we really really help and stand out in terms of
Mhm.
like differentiating you way above I think what the typical
Absolutely.
transfer essay is.
And just having those conversations to prompt that level, that extra level of original thinking.
Yeah. That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you like our content, please like and subscribe to follow us for more. Happy writing!